All right, brace yourself because there's going to be a lot of information coming at you in this pretty short video here. If you missed something, just rewind it and go back and listen again. But you want to make sure you're taking pretty careful notes of the things that we talk about here. All right, let's bring back those standard form categorical statements we just created. Don't freak out. I know there's a lot going on here on your screen. We're going to make sense out of all of it right now. So what we've done here is we've taken all of the words of these standard form categorical statements and we've given each of the groupings of words their own color. That's because each of these differently colored words has a different function in categorical logic, and they have particular names because these colored words and phrases are the component parts of standard form categorical statements. So let's talk about what these component parts are, what they're called, and what they do. So all the words you see here in blue, all, no, and some, these are called our quantifiers, and they have the function of identifying for us how many of the thing we're talking about we're actually talking about. Are we talking about all of them? Are we talking about just some number of them? Maybe 1, maybe 10, maybe 100, but something less than all? If we make a statement like all successful logic students are students who wear ballerina outfits, or no successful logic students are, we're making a claim about every single logic student that exists. In other words, it's a claim that applies universally. So we say that the quantifiers all and no create universal statements, okay? Because they create statements that refer to all of the category, all of the members of the category successful logic students. We're not excluding any of them. But when we use the quantifier some to talk about pit bulls, we're using a quantifier that tells us we're talking about some particular number of pit bulls, okay? So we're going to make a particular claim. We're going to say some are or some are not. Now, the word some means at least one. Potentially all, but we'll get to that later. But at least one. So when I use the word some, I'm talking about a few or 5 or many or quite a few, but I'm not necessarily talking about every single one when I use the quantifier. Okay, so universal in particular, those are our quantifiers. All the words here in red are what are called the subject term. Okay, so what appears right here after all, no, and some? All the words that start right after all, no, or some, and go all the way up to the R, that whole grouping of words is going to serve as our subject term. And it's going to be a countable category of things like successful logic students or pit bulls. On the other hand, what appears in green here, success are students who wear ballerina outfits and dangerous animals, that's going to be called our predicate term. And the predicate term is going to be every word that appears after are or are not and goes all the way up to the period at the end of the sentence. So the predicate term is every single word between that are or are not and the very end of the sentence. Every word here in orange is what's called a copula. And what a copula does is it couples. It brings members of two categories into a relationship with one another. It couples them. So for example, this A statement right here is coupling up successful logic students and students who wear ballerina outfits, and it's doing it in a way that says that all of those students are included in the category of those ballerina outfit wearers. Okay? Down here we have some pit bulls are not dangerous animals, and that's telling us that some number of pit bulls are being excluded from this category of things called dangerous animals. So our copula couples our subject and predicate categories. And then finally, we have a quality. I don't know why I don't have this. Oh, I know why I don't have this colored. Okay, so we have a quality. Each one of these statements has one of two qualities. It's either affirmative or it's negative. Can you figure out which of these statements have the quality of being affirmative and which has the quality of being negative? So A statements and I statements. Look at what A statements and I statements down here at the bottom. Look at what they're doing. They're telling us about a group that successful logic students and pit bulls belong to. They're including them. In other words, we're saying all successful logic students are students who wear ballerina outfits. I'm including successful logic students in the ballerina outfit wearer category. And down here in the I statement, I'm including some number of pit bulls in this category of other things called dangerous animals. So I'm affirming their relationship with this other category. I'm affirming. So these are A statements and I statements are affirmative. But look at what's happening in our two middle statements here. Here what we're being told is, you know what? Look at all those logic students over there. Every single one of them is excluded from students, the category of things called students who wear ballerina outfits. And similarly, in this O statement right here, some number of pit bulls, we're pulling them away. We're excluding them from that category of things called dangerous animals. So E statements like this one and O statements like this one, these are negative statements. They negate the subject term, successful logic students or pit bulls, that subject term is included in the predicate term. Okay? It negates that. So the pattern here is this. A statements, they're universal and they're affirmative. But E statements are universal and negative, right? Because A and E statements are making a claim about every single member of the subject term category. Okay? And I statements are particular. They're not talking about every single member of the subject category. They're talking about some number of them. O statements are also particular. But I statements are affirmative and O statements are negative. If you're feeling overwhelmed by this, I totally get that, but don't. This is just some mechanical stuff that you're gonna know all of this by the time you get done with this thought primer. So don't freak out about any of this just yet. You're gonna totally get a handle on this, I'm confident.